Under a vast, starlit sky, the quiet hum of crickets filled the air around a small, sleepy town. Lucas trudged down the dimly lit road, his boots scuffing the dirt as he headed home after a long day at the auto repair shop. Life was a daily grind, but Lucas was no stranger to hard work. His hands bore the calluses of years spent fixing engines, his modest dreams tethered to the hope of a better tomorrow. The peace of the evening was shattered by the screech of tires, followed by a deafening crash. Lucas froze, his heart pounding. The sound came from just around the bend. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward it, the adrenaline coursing through his veins driving him faster than he thought possible. When he arrived at the scene, chaos greeted him. A gleaming, black luxury car was crumpled against a tree, steam hissing from its mangled hood. The acrid smell of gasoline filled the air. Inside, a man lay slumped over the steering wheel, his face streaked with blood. Lucas didn't stop to think. He grabbed a tire iron from the car's trunk and smashed the driver's side window. Shards of glass bit into his hands, but he ignored the pain, reaching inside to unbuckle the man's seatbelt. The flames licking the hood of the car grew larger as he dragged the unconscious man out and carried him to safety. Moments later, the car erupted into flames, the heat searing Lucas's face as he stumbled backward with the man still in his arms. Sirens wailed in the distance, but Lucas stayed by the man's side until the paramedics arrived. The next day, the town was abuzz with talk of the crash. It didn't take long for the news to spread. The man Lucas had rescued was none other than Ethan Hayes, a Millionaire CEO and one of the most influential figures in the tech industry. Ethan had been traveling to finalize a major deal when the accident occurred. Lucas didn't linger in the spotlight. He preferred to remain anonymous, returning to his routine as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But his act of heroism had set off ripples that would soon reach far beyond his quiet life. Ethan Hayes recovered quickly, though he was haunted by the fact that he might never have survived without the actions of a stranger. Determined to find the man who had saved him, Ethan instructed his team to search for the anonymous hero. Weeks passed before they finally tracked down Lucas. One morning, as he worked under the hood of a truck, a sleek black car pulled up to the garage. A tall, impeccably dressed woman stepped out, her sharp eyes scanning the workshop. "You must be Lucas," she said, her voice cool and composed. He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag. "Who's asking?" "I'm Charlotte Emerson, Mr. Hayes's assistant," she replied, handing him an envelope. "He's been looking for you. He'd like to thank you personally." Lucas hesitated before taking the envelope. Inside was an invitation to an exclusive gala in the city. The idea of mingling with millionaires and celebrities made him uneasy, but something about the sincerity in Charlotte's voice compelled him to accept. The gala was a spectacle of opulence. Chandeliers glittered overhead, and champagne flowed freely as the city's elite mingled in tailored suits and designer gowns. Lucas felt like an outsider, his simple attire standing in stark contrast to the extravagance around him. Ethan spotted him almost immediately. He crossed the room with a broad smile, shaking Lucas's hand firmly. "I've been waiting to meet you," Ethan said, his gratitude evident. "You saved my life, and I owe you more than I can ever repay." Lucas shifted uncomfortably under the weight of Ethan's praise. "I just did what anyone would have done." But Ethan wouldn't hear of it. Over the course of the evening, he introduced Lucas to influential figures, praising him as a hero. It was overwhelming, yet amidst the unfamiliar faces, Lucas noticed one woman who stood apart from the crowd. She was stunning, her dark hair falling in waves over her shoulders, her emerald-green dress shimmering under the lights. But it was her expression that caught Lucas's attention, serene yet distant, as though she were lost in a world of her own. Their eyes met, and she smiled, a small, almost wistful smile that sent a ripple through him. Her name was Evelyn Carter, a philanthropist and one of Ethan's closest confidants. As the evening wore on, she and Lucas found themselves in a quiet corner, away from the noise of the party. "You don't seem like the type who enjoys galas," Evelyn observed, her voice soft but tinged with curiosity. Lucas chuckled. "That obvious?" "It's refreshing," she said, her gaze lingering on him. "Most people here are putting on a show. You're just yourself." They talked long into the night, discovering a shared passion for helping others. For Lucas, it was a newfound purpose. For Evelyn, it was a continuation of her life's work. That conversation marked the beginning of something neither of them could have anticipated. Ethan, impressed by Lucas's humility and resourcefulness, offered him a position in his company, a role focused on community outreach and development. Though hesitant at first, Lucas eventually accepted, moving to the city to start a new chapter of his life. Evelyn became an integral part of that journey. She worked closely with Lucas on various initiatives, her dedication and compassion inspiring him to dream bigger. But as their friendship deepened, so did the questions Lucas had about the sadness he sometimes saw in her eyes. One evening, as they worked late in Ethan's office, Evelyn finally opened up about her past. "I wasn't always in this world," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "My father was a businessman, but he lost everything in a financial collapse. He spiraled, and it destroyed our family." Lucas listened, his heart aching for her. "You're not alone anymore," he said gently. "Whatever comes, we'll face it together." Their partnership flourished, but so did the challenges. They encountered resistance from those who saw their efforts as a threat. Rivals tried to undermine their work, spreading false rumors and creating obstacles at every turn. Yet, through it all, Lucas and Evelyn stood firm, their shared vision driving them forward. As they weathered these storms, their bond deepened into something more profound. Evelyn's guarded heart began to heal, while Lucas discovered a strength he never knew he had. Together, they were unstoppable, a force for good in a world that often seemed indifferent. But their story was far from over. Life, as always, had more tests in store, and their resilience would be pushed to its limits. For now, though, they moved forward, hand in hand, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Lucas and Evelyn worked tirelessly to transform lives, their efforts began to attract widespread attention. Their rural development projects flourished, bringing education, healthcare, and sustainable businesses to communities long neglected. Media outlets praised their work, calling them a beacon of hope in a world often clouded by greed. But success came with its challenges. A powerful competitor in the tech industry, envious of Ethan's growing influence through Lucas and Evelyn's work, escalated their attempts to sabotage the initiatives. The rival company filed baseless lawsuits, spread malicious rumors, and even tried to bribe local leaders to oppose the development projects. One night, after a particularly exhausting day battling legal complications, Lucas sat with Evelyn on the balcony of her apartment. The city lights glittered below, but his shoulders sagged under the weight of their struggles. Evelyn placed a comforting hand on his. "Do you ever wonder if it's worth it?" Lucas asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Evelyn smiled softly. "Every life we've touched, every child who now has a chance at education, every family with access to healthcare, it's all worth it. The noise from people trying to bring us down is just that, noise." Her words reignited Lucas's resolve. Together, they strategized and leaned on their allies, including Ethan, who used his influence to rally support for their cause. Slowly but surely, they dismantled the opposition, exposing the rival company's underhanded tactics. Months passed, and with each victory, their bond grew stronger. Yet Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Late one evening, as they walked through a field in one of the villages they had transformed, he stopped abruptly. "Evelyn," he began, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. "I've never been good with words, but I know what I feel. You've been my partner in every sense of the word. My friend, my confidant, my strength. I can't imagine my life without you." Evelyn's eyes shimmered in the moonlight, her breath catching as Lucas reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple ring. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his voice filled with hope. Tears spilled down Evelyn's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding was a celebration of love, resilience, and hope. It was held in the heart of one of the villages they had transformed, surrounded by the people whose lives they had changed. Children ran through the fields, laughter echoing under the open sky as Lucas and Evelyn exchanged vows. Ethan, beaming with pride, gave a heartfelt toast at the reception. Lucas and Evelyn remind us that real change doesn't come from wealth or power. It comes from heart and determination. They've built more than projects. They've built hope. As the years went on, Lucas and Evelyn continued their work, expanding their efforts to new regions and inspiring others to join their cause. Their love for each other only deepened, rooted in the shared purpose that had brought them together. Ethan, who had become a close friend and mentor, eventually retired, passing the reins of his company to Lucas. Under his leadership, the organization flourished, its profits reinvested into charitable initiatives. One evening, as Lucas and Evelyn stood on the balcony of their home overlooking a bustling city and the distant hills of the countryside, Evelyn rested her head on Lucas's shoulder. "Do you think we've done enough?" she asked softly. Lucas smiled, his arm around her. "I think we've only just begun." And as the stars sparkled above them, their journey continued, a story of love, courage, and the enduring power of hope, proving that even the humblest beginnings can lead to extraordinary endings.